Welcome to another episode of Farm to Table Northern Ontario. I'm your host, Chef Craig Young, and today we're going to be at Family Roots Farm and Lady Raven Meadows, and we're going to be making salsa verde with a Mexican lasagna. Check it out. Today we're at Family Roots Farm. Ryan, could you tell us a little bit about what we got right here behind us?
So these are our main beds that are left in production, the three of them here. We have lots of lettuce underneath these, and going into our tomatoes and our pepper tunnels.
We started with one plot 4 years ago. We thought we'd just see what we can grow. We actually took it to the market, the farmer's market in Sudbury, and we did very well. So this year we decided to add 3 more plots, and we're adding another 5, so we're gonna have 10 plots altogether.
We've just been recently getting into this. This is about a 3 to 4 year project now. So we're just at the point that we're getting into full production. Where we're headed with our farm is to expand our CSA memberships, which will allow us to grow our community approach of what we're trying to accomplish on our farm.
So what is a CSA?
So CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And basically what it is the community supporting us at the beginning of the season by paying a membership, we'll say. And this gives them access to the first harvest of the top quality products throughout the entire season. So the program works where you can either come to the farm to pick up your box or have it delivered to your door. Okay. We have received 80 members at the start of the season. And so that we put most of our efforts back into reinvesting into our farm to try to expand that again to double down for next year's season.
So let's imagine you're putting together a box for someone maybe a couple weeks ago or even a month ago. What would have gone into your box?
So our boxes are always seasonally changing, basically, sure, depending on what's available. So in the early seasons, you're going to receive more greens, green onions into all the lettuces. So as you're going into the season, getting a little bit warmer, introducing, the cucumbers and the zucchinis and the tomatoes and so on into the peppers.
So the landscape fabric really frees up the plant to grow and spread and do its thing and take advantage of the soil.
It does.
Absolutely. The main purpose of the landscape fabric was because these 3 beds are brand new. With
Sure.
that being said, very weedy in nature.
Right.
So this is basically the best effort that we could put to not always be on it. We first prepped this bed by putting cardboard underneath it, and then we raised the bed about 4 inches by adding compost to it. It's building the soil over time while we feed right now with granulated chicken manure.
Okay.
So that's what's giving our boost of energy up front. This is being the long-term kind of process of rebuilding the soil around us.
I can't believe the color that you guys have on these peppers. I'll be honest. This one here that fell off, it had a little bit of bottom rot, you called it?
Yes.
So this doesn't make the cut, obviously. So it was on the ground. I still think it's beautiful, but the ones that are on the plant have incredible color. They're dark purple. They're radiant.
They come out at a deepest purple possible, and if left on the plant for too long, they'll start to introduce their white.
Okay.
Their white characters. And we found with our local market that at a smaller size pepper, the flavor is more there and the color is more there, and that's where we found our demand.
Could you tell me a little bit about the stems and the way that these are supported to be able to grow so full?
We've started them when they were very young, and there's a top wire up here that leads down with one piece of twine at every single plant. So as the plant grows, we just start the nature of wrapping it, which allows the plant to just continue it. This being what you would call a sucker from a tomato plant, we remove all the excess growth from the plant to just leave one main leader, and that maximizes the production per plant.
So you've had as many as 40 different varieties growing here at one time?
Yes.
Or over the course of the entire season?
Over the course of the whole season, so we would start with cold hardy crops going into the summer loving crops.
Incredible selection.
It is. It was very ambitious of us. We had lots of success over a lot of the different varieties, but we didn't have some success with others, and that's the nature of what this season was about, kind of narrowing down to the specific produce that will do very well in our climate and within our soils and within our systems and approaches to farming.
You've got a very small footprint.
Yes.
Oh,
From
certainly.
what I can see. Like,
Certainly, and the only way that we're able to remain successful and compete within the markets is by having transitions. So our nursery over there is where we start everything, and they spend their majority of the early time frame, and then they get transplanted out in the field, which allows us to have several harvests throughout the same bed. Most of our beds, we aim to have 2 to 3 rotations within the same season.
these are being started for one of your final stages out there, or like what have we got going on right here?
Well, these racks are all dedicated to our microgreen production.
Okay.
So these are our pea shoots. We have sunflower shoots, basil, and then we have garlic chive. But throughout the entire season, this is how we did all our transplants into the farm.
So you get a head start.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way we're trying to stay on top of the game by pushing what is necessarily the standard within the industry, basically.
Right, and really well established roots so that when you do the transplant.
Exactly. They've already had
Nice.
quite a good season already.
What a great thing that you're doing here. I mean, the name Family Roots, you're pretty sincere with that, about wanting to reach out to people through your CSAs, through showing the farm, but also through maybe even doing a little bit of education you were mentioning.
Yeah, so our long-term project on the farm is not only to raise and to provide high-quality produce, but is to be able to hopefully teach fellow farmers how to make profit on a scale of our nature. At our mass scale, we can feed maybe like 300, 400 families tops, and that's quite a lot, but that's
Sure.
not even a dent in Sudbury's population. So in reality, we need quite a few more farmers, hopefully looking at quality, and that would be kind of our long-term approach, is maybe to come up with a course or some way to be able to give back to the system. Next year, we're hoping to create a kind of a how-to garden videos that is able to create, let's say, maybe a 10 by 20 plot and maximize the production off that for a family. And we're hoping to maybe be able to feed, a family of 4 for a set season off of this course, be able to get their supplies through us and have quality products for themselves.
Awesome stuff. You know what? Family Roots Farm. I'm inspired. I'm looking forward to doing that, and I'll be watching for those videos for sure.
Perfect. We hope you are,
Thank
Craig.
you.
Thanks for coming around.
Yes.
We're starting into fall harvest, and we're here with Catherine Rasi
Hi.
of Lady Raven Meadows out in the south end of Sudbury, and we're taking a look at her wonderful looking gardens.
So my little farm was created really organically. We have 5 acres here, but we only farm maybe a quarter of an acre, and it's been an evolution over time. So when we first got here, most of this side yard where we farm most of the food was mostly dead, growing on lots of sand and fill that was brought in. So it took us a lot of time to regenerate the soil. So this is the first year that I've actually been able to produce a huge amount of food and sell it, which has been really exciting for us. There was nothing here but just the grass. So we cut the grass in the early spring. This is the first year for this bed, and it's produced a lot of food for us. And what we did was something called lasagna gardening. We put down cardboard, clean cardboard. We covered this whole area, and then we got a bunch of straw bales delivered. I think it was a couple hundred in the end. And we laid out tons and tons of straw. And then we collected yard mulch from people in the spring. So we collected grass clippings and leaves, and we dumped hundreds of bags of that down here. And then we covered the whole thing with straw again. And then we had 1 dump truck load of soil delivered for this garden bed. And we created these kind of raised areas through the thing. And I contained it by using the straw bales on the exterior, which I'll recycle back into the bed as winter cover.
Cardboard, what does it contribute? Is sort of heading towards something like nitrogen?
No, it's a weed suppression.
Weed suppression.
Yeah, so it'll kill off the undergrowth. The landscape
cool.
fabric that I've used in past years has been a petroleum plastic based,
exactly.
and then sometimes it disintegrates within a year. And you have all this particle all over your garden bed, which is terrible. You don't want it there.
Can you tell us a little bit about these beans?
Yeah.
Incredible.
They are really cool. Yeah, they grow really, really long. I mean, we're talking 10 inches long. Look at that. It's crazy to grow beans. You might as well grow them because they take up no space at all. They have these like gorgeous little flowers. You'll even see hummingbirds come right up to them and all kinds of pollinators. So they're super happy. And I think next year I would do, a whole row. I just put too many things in this garden. It should just be like 1, 2, 3 types of things. Wonderful. So now I know for next year.
So you'd mentioned you've got a couple different varietals and that you've got some unique seeds. Whereabouts are you finding those?
So I find my seeds pretty much everywhere. So any local farmer that's selling seeds that I've bought produce from and I know that it's a good variety, I'll buy that. So that's especially important for things like garlic and things that you want to get big and keep in the ground for a whole year. Sometimes it gets hard to find seeds. This year was the hardest year to find seeds. So I was lucky because I'm a gardener. I had a bunch of seeds already and I had a bunch of seeds on order from before COVID hit. But after COVID, it was almost impossible to find even basic seeds like carrots and beets. It would be great to have a seed catalog in Sudbury that everybody can contribute to. And certain seeds like pepper and tomato seeds typically will only last 1 year and then you're not going to get them to sprout. So that's difficult. We have to save those every year and make sure that we do. So these raised beds were kind of an experiment. We used recycled products to build them. And we used a little bit of vapor barrier on the inside to try to keep them for a couple of years because it's untreated wood, so it's probably going to rot out eventually. But I used straw bales on the bottom, and then I covered it with horse manure, and I let it age for a little while and watered it and watered it and watered it so that it would percolate down into the straw and start the decomposition process of the straw. And I took the temperature of the straw every day until it reached a certain temperature to say, hey, it's ready. And then I covered it with the soil and then we planted after that. So it was quite the process. And now you can see that the straw bales in this bed have collapsed.
Yeah,
so,
I was going to point that out. You can actually see it, that it's actually consumed everything and made it more bioavailable to the vegetables. That's awesome.
And these raised beds, the straw was intact and they stayed much higher. Some of the parts did collapse. Right. And it's just experimental.
So that also gives the vegetables a little bit longer growing season or a bit more protection.
It does.
From frost.
Yeah,
because it would
off
be
the ground.
decomposing, so the heat's rising.
Yeah, usually the decomposition process of the straw, the initial decomposition process should be done before you plant.
Okay.
If you don't do that, what can happen is you plant your veggies, the roots start to go down, and then as the temperature increases in the spring going into summer, you'll fry your veggies. So you want to make sure that you're taking the temperature. And ideally you do this in the fall, not in the spring. So you prep your bed in the fall and then everything's done by springtime and you got this wonderful blanket of snow that will, kind of kickstart all the microbes back to life. And then you have this amazing soil that your veggies will love. And it's a lot easier to harvest from a raised bed than it is from the ground. So this year we went to a farm down the road, Hillsview Stables, and they had a huge amount of 2-year aged horse manure. And horse manure can be tricky because it can have a really high nitrogen level because it can be mixed in with the straw that they use as their bedding, and it can be mixed in with a lot of urea from their urine. But it was perfect. It helped kickstart the decomposition process and just added a bunch of nutrition.
I mean, we talk about getting nutrient-dense foods, but what do the foods need to eat?
That's right,
I mean, it just makes sense, right? It's a much more sensible way to make use of the downstream stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So these are just sweet purple peppers. They do get bigger than this, but because it's so cold, they're slowing right down.
And these are the cherry bombs here?
Cherry bombs, yep.
They're still pushing more fruit.
They are. So these all the red ones are ready to go.
Is this second or third year on this plant, like on these seeds, or are these new to your garden? Because like they look like they're so happy.
Yeah,
I've never
I've
seen
had the seeds, but
a Sudbury pepper plant look that.
You mean like grow the seeds
It looks
each
so.
year?
Yeah. Like I'm just like, are these acclimated, or is this new to your garden?
This is new to my garden, and we've gotten really good at growing peppers because my husband really likes to make a lot of hot sauce. These long cayennes are the most incredible hot peppers I've ever grown. Like, look at the size of this thing. These are huge peppers, and they have a wonderful flavor, and they will turn red. But I have been pretty much selling them as green because people just take them off my hands before they turn red. They're only starting to turn red.
Yeah.
These are those black pearls.
I've never heard or seen anything like that.
Yeah, they're gorgeous plant. Look at the leaf.
Am I in trouble?
Maybe. You'll know, you can spit it out, but you might need
I'm not going to.
What does it taste like?
Really good. It has incredible flavor, which is something about hot peppers, because some of them, they're just hot and they just burn your mouth. There's not a lot of flavor. This actually has a lot of really nice flavors.
Yeah, it's an award-winning pepper according to Rasi, so quite a nice pepper. This is hilarious. Wait till you see these. Oh my god. Hello. And there's worms on it even from the compost. Yeah.
Wow.
These are my babies.
It's almost looking like a gourd.
Maybe it is. We don't really know. We didn't
No,
plant
no. I mean, that's got to be a zucchini, but goodness.
I've had bigger ones than this. We have so much zucchini, we don't know what to do with it. There's the patty pans at the right
beautiful.
size. Yeah, they're really great. Patty pans are prolific producers, and they give you a lot of food.
Grab two of the smallest.
Yeah, look at this.
It's incredible the colors you're able to get out of this area. I keep adding an item and keep getting more blown away by every time.
I know, right? I realized that you need a lot of knowledge to be really successful at gardening, and it's something that I look forward to doing forever. So
Looks like you're doing pretty good.
yeah, it's not bad. We're pretty happy with it.
Well, we're at Lady Raven Meadows, and I think I've got my inspiration right here in this box. Such an incredible selection you've got here, Catherine. Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming out and checking out our little farm, and I'm really happy that you're gonna eat more plants and keep going with your awesome cooking.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We are looking to make some salsa verde today. I've got some tomatillos, some green tomatoes, and we got some wonderful cayennes. I've also got some lemon thyme out in the garden. Really simple to handle this. Start out with run a bit of water over it. So we've got these really nice looking cayennes. It's not required to do this. You certainly can dry roast them, but I like to put a little bit of olive oil. Give them a liberal dressing. Go ahead and just put those into a roasting pan, and we're going to put those under a broiler 5 minutes. Going to need a couple more minutes, but you can see where things are at. So I'm actually going to give this about 5 more minutes. I've already turned it once, so I want to see that blistered dark brown roasted coloration on it. So here we got the roasted tomatillos, green tomato, and the cayenne peppers. Also, we've got the lemon thyme and olive oil, and a little bit of sea salt. So we did have a little bit more roasted garlic, and we're going to add that in to the salsa verde now. So garlic goes in. I'm not going to do much with peeling these. The skin's blistered up really easily, and I'm pretty pleased to just go ahead and put them in as is. One more item I like to add when I'm making a salsa verde: salt cured limes. They will actually give me quite a bit of salt content. I'll put about 3 of those right into the food processor, quarter the lime, and then cut it in half across the equator, and you'll end up with 8 morsels, and pack it with salt. Put it on the windowsill and wait until all of the salt dissolves, and it'll start to make sort of a savory marmalade. It has a weird way of actually giving a floral note, and somehow it even tastes fresher, and you get to use the whole thing. Like, you use the rind, just get the seeds out of there. And I'm going to put quite a bit, the lemon thyme, right into the food processor, and we'll get the peppers. Oh, and you're going to want all of these wonderful juices. So we're going to buzz this, and once that's done, I'm going to add salt to taste and a bit of olive oil to correct the consistency. I think we hit this one out of the park, folks. Salsa verde. Nice pourable consistency. Wow. We just got back from Family Roots Farm. We're going to try to do something like a taco pie. I've heard it called a Mexican lasagna. Some beautiful red and purple peppers. We've also got pea sprouts and little radish sprouts. I've already taken the time to brown some ground beef. And then once it's browned, just take it and put it into the colander and let the fat drip off. I've also got some tomato meat sauce left over from a batch I made a couple days ago. I've got some shredded cheese, cheddar, Monterey. I think there's a little bit of pimento jalapeno. We won't tell the kids that. I'm also going to do a layer of bean. I use garbanzo beans, also known as chickpeas. Drain that, puree it, and use that as a layer. And a little bit of these wonderful lettuce from Family Roots, and the radish and pea shoots over top. But we're getting all of these wonderful vegetables softened so that we can put them into layers in a lasagna type dish. We're going to be using tortillas as our layers. A little bit of tomato meat sauce across the bottom of the pan. Tortillas. Close enough, right? Go with your ground beef. We're going to be putting in the chickpeas. Speaking of which, you can see we got the beef. Let's get that averaged out a little bit better. That's our shredded cheese. And let's get this one here. So this one here, I put 2 salt cured lime. And I had a little bit of red onion from Lady Raven Meadows, tossed it in, blitzed that in the food processor with the lime, and we've got our chickpea puree. So we'll get that spread around. Just put a little sprinkling of this cheese, get another layer of tortilla, purple and green peppers. Let's get all of them in there. So there's my peppers layer. And so what I'm going to do now is cut up a little bit of red onion, slices of tomato from Family Roots Farm. Beautiful place, wonderful people. So there we go. Got the onions, tomatoes, the peppers, and we'll get that capped off. This time you got to give it a bit more of a press. We had some baby tomatoes left over. I threw those in with the meat sauce. I think it's going to make a nice little topping. Again, ensure that you've got your oven preheated so that you're ready to go once you've got this assembled. So everything that's going in here is cooked except for those vegetables, specifically the tomato and the onion. You want that in the center of your oven, 350 convection. You're going to go at least an hour. So we're setting up the salsa verde. So I'm going to add in this Vidalia, some of the cilantro as well. And so what we've got here is a little bit more crunch, a little bit more herbaceousness from the cilantro. Now what I'm going to do is I just got this from the farm, but imagine you pick this up over at the farmer's market. And I'm going to use this as my shredded lettuce component. So we've got the onion, the cilantro, and then we get in all of the lettuce. That's going to go over top. A good handful of these pea sprouts and these radish sprouts. You know it's ready when it smells incredible in your house. Oh, beautiful. Take a look in the pan here. Beautiful color, nice and browned. The peppers, the tomatoes, the onions, the beans, the meat, the tortilla, everything nice on its own. And we've got this salsa verde. And we'll get this microgreens, green leaf lettuce, Vidalia, radish, and pea sprouts. I'm pretty happy with that. The kids will approve. And I think it's supper time. Cheers. Thanks for watching, and most importantly, thanks for supporting your local farmers. Check out our Instagram and our Facebook, and of course our YouTube channel for full recipes and additional content. And be sure to check out your Farm to Table Northern Ontario merch. Get some today. We got t-shirts, hoodies, hats, whatever you need. We've got it. Take care. Thanks for tuning in.